Rongominiad. Rongominiad, Rongominiado, is a tower of light that anchors the layers of the world. The authority of the tower is granted in the form of a lance given to Artoria Pendragon. Tower. It is actually not meant to be used as a weapon to strike down external invaders. It is only the shadow of its true form, said to be a tower that fastens the outer layer of the world onto the planet. The Holy Lance Rhongomyniad makes that tower, a pillar of light, as its main body, existing to ensure the world's stability. Originally, this Holy Lance is a pillar of light that fastens together the two sides of the world itself, the outer layer of the world, reality, and the reverse side of the world, illusion. It has been said that, in the unlikely event that this is undone, reality will be torn off from the surface of the world to reveal the reverse side of the world, reenacting the Age of Gods. Being the king that stood at the final moments of illusion in the Age of Gods, King Arthur possesses this holy lance that conceals such a tremendous power. Lance Rhongomyniad, the lance that shines to the ends of the world, staynight Kagayakaru Yari, is the holy lance of King Arthur. An anchor of storm that fastens the planet together. A divine construct armament. Rongominiad is regarded as the spear of the end, the light of destruction coming down from the heavens, whose power is said to rival the holy sword. Its original power is restricted according to the 13 restraints, and yet, it is the pillar of the farthest ends, shining to extol the brilliance of the planet because of the existence of the 13 restraints that are supposedly endowed with the same processes of the holy sword of the planet that saves the world. It is barely in a state where it can take up a form as a noble phantasm. In order to perform the release of its true name, there is a need to lift at least half of a total of 13 restraints. By releasing the true name without fulfilling this requirement, the Holy Lance will emit a fragment of the power of the light that shines in the far away. When releasing its complete true name invocation, its rank and classification changes. After Artoria's death at Camlan, Morgan Le Fay created the mystic code Ad to seal Rongominiad and keep its mystery from fading. Ad would be passed down a line of gravekeepers until it came into the hands of Grey in the 1990s. The lance also appears to have the ability to shape-shift into different forms to an unknown degree. In addition to creating a giant tower in the image of its lance form instead of as a pillar of light, as well as the different fanged appearance it shows when wielded by lance or altar, the lance has been shown to transform into a ceremonial rapier, a parasol that doubles as a sword/rapier, a small spear and a type of wand, as well as the various weapon forms showcased by Ad once its first seal is released. Mnemosyne was able to transform Rongominiad into an high-tech armored shell with numerous cannons, which was somehow still an expression of Rongominiad's capabilities, capable of firing numerous powerful magical energy projectiles and homing golden lasers, which she could control to turn back mid-flight to hit a target a second time. It is also speculated that the noble phantasm Bright Hangwan is capable of both movement, flight, and artillery laser bombardment due to some usage of Rongominiad, or that it is even Rongominiad itself but transformed into a ship, though ruler Artoria refuses to comment on such questions. The white spiral shell that makes up the lance can also be shifted into an weapon in of itself, transforming into a giant white tree that grows into the sky and reaches its branches down and out as sharp speared limbs and thorn tentacles to impale targets, or to create a large twisted root-like barrier of spikes to both attack over a large area at once and to deter and harm aggressors, such as to blockade and destroy a massive bridge, as shown by goddess Rongominiad in her defense against Bedivere in the second Camelot movie. These shell limbs can be cut through using Excalibur, however, and usage of this attack depletes the shell around the weapon itself, revealing the weapon's core to be a long thin white spear connected with the handle underneath the lance covering. The goddess Rongominiad has also shown that the outer shell can be used to create buildings and structures, which is how she created the holy city of Camelot in a single night. The walls of her fortress are incredibly durable, and they repel without taking a scratch any malicious attack due to the Camelot castle only granting access to those with righteous hearts. This is a similar effect to Masha's Lord Camelot, which is a derivative of her summoning the white walls of Camelot to block attacks. Even lawful good servants such as Bedivere can't hope to damage the Camelot gate. It took Xuanzang Sanzang using her final Buddha palm, Noble Phantasm, which summons the Fist of the Buddha, as a suicidal attack to destroy Camelot's front gate. Even then, the attack only succeeded due to Xuanzang having no malicious intent towards the Lion King, and using her power to save rather than to defeat. Something Da Vinci states only her could do. Moreover, goddess Rongominiad can further protect her fortress by activating walls made out of the same light as Excalibur. Thanks to these walls of magical energy, not even Ozymandias' Dendera electric bulb is able to reach inside the city, forcing the Sun King to transform half his spirit origin into magical energy to shoot his ultra-long-range divine punishment 9 times more in order to break through them. By turning the holy city into the Tower of the Ends of the World, the entire area becomes the ends of the world. As the Tower of Light, the world that is made up accordingly with the physical laws of the present will peel and fall off, and the many phantasmal laws that were the way of the past would be expressed. In other words, in exchange for creating the complete world known as the Tower, the world outside must be destroyed. The activation of the Tower generates a space-time fracture by causing a gravitational collapse in all corners of the era. However, due to said activation taking some time, Ozymandias manages to shatter it with Ramesseum Tentiris before it completely manifests, as before its huge mass, the tower was nothing more than an ancient rickety ship. However, this was only the lance's sheath, and as such, it was required to destroy the lance in order to stop the gravity fluctuation. Variations. Artoria. King Arthur used this lance against Vortigern in his dragon form, and the spiral light of the lance pierced through the heart of the dragon. King Arthur also used Rongominiad in her final battle to kill Mordred. It is said that no matter the toughness of Mordred's armor, it amounted to nothing before the lance as it pierced her chest. Bedivere states that none of the Knights of the Round Table ever questioned the lance's nature, and so, they never learned of its significance or power, meaning that only King Arthur and Merlin among them were ever aware of what it is. Goddess Rongominiad. The goddess Rongominiad's most recognizable attack with the lance is Holy Judgment. According to Dr. Roman, the magical energy of this attack had a value of over 3 million even though the highest-ranked noble phantasms usually only range between 1,000 and 300. Differing from the pillars and beams of light in other usages of the lance itself, Holy Judgment takes the form of a massive physical, golden construct of energy in the image of Rongominiad's spiral shell that appears from far above in the sky, made of dozens of giant intertwined and crisscrossed gold strips that twist and spin like a drill as the attack slowly descends from the sky like a meteor. The construct is shown to be far larger than mountains, wider than anyone could possibly hope to dodge or outrun, and which lights up the sky and environment like a second sun with its golden glow and clear all clouds from the horizon with its end. The attack is more than just a stream of magical energy, but a physical object with physical weight, speed and drag to it, making it slow down when traveling due to its massive size compared to a beam of energy. This attack was once nullified by Arash's Stella, a max-ranged remote attack that literally splits the land, ending all conflicts, and then later again by Mash using Lord Camelot powered by a command seal. Grey. The ability to use it has been passed down in a line descended from the relatives of King Arthur, and it is currently held by Grey. Her mystic code, Ad, only existed as a temporary seal to stop the degradation of the weapon's mystery in the first place. Even though it may only be a shadow, due to the burden that it places on Grey who is but a human, it is regularly sealed within Ad and only released when the need arises. The various weapons that Ad is able to transform into is made possible from the overflowing power of Rongominiad. Though it may be sealed by the mystic code and placed under 13 restrictions, the Holy Spear continues to shine as bright as ever. When activated, it can launch a beam of light. When Ad absorbed memory photos used in the shell projection Magecraft by Camus Pelagor, the shell projection even affected it and changed its released form from a gigantic golden lance into a gigantic golden scythe with feathered wings that can be used to cut the dream world, being used more like Excalibur than Rongominiad. Rongominiad Mythos. 3 years after Case Files, Grey unlocks the ability Rongominiad Mythos, Tower of Dreams founding the ends of the world. This is the true function that Rongominiad was made for, the ability to anchor the world in place. There is a world of fantasy, dreams, and myths that Rongominiad keeps pinned inside the texture of the world. With Rongominiad Mythos, Grey can contain mystery and make sure none of it leaks outside. A seal of Rongominiad Mythos's power is rare even for the Age of Gods. Without outside intervention it could take over a century for the effects to wear off. When the light of Rongominiad Mythos pierces by Rualong, the spirit of Typhon inside him is anchored, and Rua's wings and blaze of Etna armor that he gained from Typhon disappear. Corpse King. The Corpse King, who is a recreation of Artoria's mind created with Logos React, wields a dark Rongominiad. As Grey is the body of King Arthur and the Corpse King the mind, it only makes sense that they would have similar lances. Hers and Grey's lances are only shadows of the true Tower of the End, so it is not impossible for multiple shadows to exist. The dark Rongominiad is covered in thorns resembling wolf fangs. Rather than light, its magical energy manifests as a whirling cyclone of wind. In other words, it is similar to Artoria Lancer Alter's version. Mnemosyne. Mnemosyne isn't a servant, and is therefore incapable of wielding a noble phantasm. She gets around this by reenacting Ritsuka Fujiwara's memories regarding Rongominiad, forming about her avatar in combat a shell of high-tech weapons that are somehow an expression of Rongominiad's capabilities. In the manner that Grey and Ad are able to interfere with the processes of fake Rongominiad via sympathy, Mnemosyne is capable within the boundaries of her tower of suppressing Ad's capabilities almost entirely. Morgan, Lost Belt. During the events of the Atlantic Lost Belt, it was revealed by Beryl Gutt, the assigned crypter of the English Lost Belt, that there is indeed a user of a different version of Rongominiad present within the Lost Belt's version of the Round Table, and that Beryl had somehow earned the user's wrath and anger to the point that whenever he declares his presence out loud, he immediately becomes targeted by Rongominiad that immediately shoots at him from space. The power of this attack required Kirsteria Wodime to expand a majority of his magic power to defend against. In the English Lost Belt proper, it is revealed that this version of Rongominiad is a noble phantasm of the Lost Belt version of Morgan, which she uses as a magecraft spell instead of a physical lance. As stated, Morgan's Rongominiad is a mystery that even surpasses the ideal magecraft of Kirsteria Wodime and is a divine construct woven from of the inner sea of the planet, making it the ideal counter against the alien god's planetary magical output. In fact, it's even been stated that Morgan herself is capable of creating more than one Rongominiad. According to Da Vinci, in her atrium overlooking the Great Pit, she was able to observe a magical energy pattern similar to the Lion King in the sixth singularity as proof that Rongominiad is definitely being prepared as a weapon. But not just one or two, there are over 10 Rongominiads installed in front of Camelot's castle. As such, Da Vinci thinks that the Rongominiad used on Olympus was just another use of it, as far as Morgan is concerned. If that's the case, it would have been enough for Chaldea to use it as a counter against the alien god, if she could at least sell them a single one. In fact, it is later stated by Beryl that there is 12 Rongominiads situated on Camelot's main gate. As stated by Beryl, a single one of these 12 Rongominiads has enough power to inflict an attack on the same level of divine punishment. Secret Miniad. Secret Miniad, Ensign Nebula Sword, Mume Cyan Ken, is the noble phantasm of mysterious heroine XX. A galactic nebula cutter by using Rongominiad LR, which is said to be the heavenly scales of the universe. The beam of light produced by swinging the spear is a spiral like a nebula, and mows down all the surroundings. It doesn't distinguish allies from enemies. Ether Space, Howbeit the Order. Ether Space, Howbeit the Order, Sapphire Galaxy Idaho Estate Cosmos, Soki Jinga Sunawachi Kosamosu, localized as Ether Space, yet lawful, is the noble phantasm of mysterious heroine XX. Although she shouts many things in accordance with her mood at the time, such as Twin Miniad Disaster or Double X Dynamic, its true name is Ether Space, Howbeit the Order. By means of opposing mirrors, this true name denotes the rules of the universe that Rongominiad protects. A dynamic saber slash performed after releasing the safe mode of Rongominiad LR and increasing its output. It explodes the opponent along with the planet itself. The final ruling measure, which does not adhere to things such as the right to remain silent or the right to call a lawyer. A convenient noble phantasm that is endowed with special effectiveness not only against foreigners, but also against sabers. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.